Hi guys, look at PayPal. So sad.
Just so sad. Let's try to answer the question. Is it a buy now? If not, when?
And after that, we will cover the market as always. By the way, do you like to have routines?
I like to have a routine.
Alright, me too. So hit that routine like and subscribe. Thank you so very much.
Anytime. So PayPal, let's jump right into why it can still keep falling and where do we think it is a buy. So there's a shitload of info on the internet on PayPal not buying interest. So we are not gonna waste your time on that. But that's a good point to start. Ever since PayPal rumored to buying Pinterest, the stock said bye-bye.
The stock said bye bye for 10%. Then realized, okay, maybe buying Pinterest is not the move. So they said, oh, JK. Then stock said bye bye to another 10%. And to put a cherry on top, after the Justice Department opened antitrust investigation, PayPal blew up after earnings. In the wrong direction though. And just like that, over 3 months, PayPal lost almost 40% of its market cap.
Let's look. When can we buy dip? If we can buy.
So I would approach it in two steps. Step one, has the fundamental changed? And step two, if so, are there any catalysts? I'll admit, I have some PayPal and I cut some. What about you?
Well, if a stock dropped more than 40%, I would have stopped out a long time ago. I'm not begging.
After reviewing PayPal, now I know what my plan is. I think PayPal dropped 30% is not weird at all, but it also has a big catalyst brewing that has huge potential, at least in my opinion.
I'm interested.
So, PayPal is a payment company that processes transactions for consumers and merchants. These are core services offered by PayPal. Main product PayPal, personal credit, PayPal Credit, Venmo, which I'm sure everyone knows what that is, cross-border payments, iZettle, international money transfer, Zoom, e-com payment, Braintree, and buy now, pay later, Paydi. PayPal also provides B2B and B2C payment services.
90% of its revenue comes from transaction, so it's pretty straightforward. The transaction fees, the forward margins from international transactions. So check the screen right now. PayPal grew nicely in the past 5 years, both in active user and revenue. So what happened?
Like you said, main revenue comes from transactions. Fees usually comes from a percent of the dollar value. So here's the logic. Get more active users, you get more transactions. And then more transactions means higher dollar value, which is their total payment volume, TPV. So from their ER, we saw significant slowdown from these three most important metrics.
Look at the screen. And not only did PayPal not beat last Q3, but they even lowered guidance for new active user added. So don't expect new active user to explode.
Not only that, they also lowered guidance for TPV. So from all this, we can see that the reason PayPal doubled over pandemic is because of remote payment. And after the pandemic, they no longer has that edge.
Also, another metrics that I care about for payment company is take rate, which is indicate a company's price setting ability. The bigger the company, the take rate should be higher. If a company lower the take rate, that means per transactions is cheaper. That can certainly increase the total payment volume, but at the expenses of a lower profit margins.
And check out the screen for take rate formula, which is total revenue divided by TPV. We can see that PayPal is taking less every year. For reference, Square's take rate is 2.9%, which is about 50% more than PayPal's current rate. This is pretty alarming to me.
This shows that PayPal is getting hit with intense competition. Its biggest competition, Square, has a nice business model and crypto going. And still a private company, Stripe, is also taking cake from PayPal.
By the way, if Stripe IPO, I would slap that shit on day one. And besides Square and Stripe, new players are taking PayPal's cake non-stop, like Affirm, SoFi, and Upstart. These heavy competition are reflected on the decreasing take rate. So from what we've mentioned, we can see that PayPal is not just down from all the bad news. Because it has been impacted fundamentally, the bad news just made the fundamental changes surface faster.
Wow. Even after a 40% dip, the forward PE according to Yahoo Finance is still at 35, which is just around PayPal's PE average of 36 for the past 5 years. So if PayPal dropped 5 more percent, I wouldn't be surprised. The reason a stock is given a high valuation is investors expect the company grow in revenue and profits to offset the high valuation. And clearly, the investor do not think that PayPal has the growth anymore.
I agree, and unlike other blue chips such as Apple, Google, Adobe, and Nvidia, they are either the GOAT or the two best GOATs in their market. But in the payment market, PayPal is no longer the GOAT, and it's not PayPal's fault. It's just the barrier of entry is just hard to build up to a point where it's hard to penetrate.
And PayPal is clearly being penetrated from the left and right. So if they don't have new product or catalyst, it's going to be hard for PayPal to bounce back.
And they understand the problem they're facing as well, so PayPal has found another way to potentially bring back the glory. So right now, the core problem for payment market is that Visa and MasterCard own the payment process, and there are way too many middlemen between consumers and merchants that are reaping profits from transactions, such as banks that issue credit card, payment processor, credit check, security check, etc., which causes high transaction fees. If PayPal can figure out how to connect consumers and merchants directly, they will hit the jackpot.
On the investor day this year, PayPal CEO announced the super app they are developing, and it launched officially in September. This app will build up PayPal's own payment ecosystem, kicking out all the middlemen.
If PayPal can make this popular, this will change the global payment market.
And this is not a dream. Others have done it already. China's WeChat Pay and Alipay are successful living examples.
But China is a different market. It's not as easy to achieve in the rest of the world, but I think PayPal could do it.
I think so too. In my opinion, Venmo is a very important ingredient for PayPal. It has already over 80 million users in the US and is very popular among the younger generations.
I don't see any connection between Venmo and the super app's goal.
So PayPal sees Venmo as a keys to unlock super app's power, and it needs to unlock 3 doors. First one is accumulating consumer users. Venmo's TPV growth rate is about the same as PayPal's TPV growth rate 5 years ago. When PayPal split from eBay, and I think it's gonna be growing faster because it has social media aspect.
I barely look at what other people are paying others for, but I suppose, yeah.
The second door Venmo needs to unlock is accumulating merchant users. Merchants like Venmo because of free ads from all the payment posts from consumers, and merchants can save a lot of transaction costs through Venmo. From Amazon canceling Visa in the UK, we can see that merchants are tired of paying high-ass fees.
Oh, and also Venmo supports pay by scanning QR code, so merchants don't need any hardware like Square to provide paid services. Right now, Venmo is already partnering with CVS. Walmart and Amazon will partner with Venmo next year as well.
Yep, so clearly these big retailers are seeing the potential of Venmo already. And the third and final door is integration between merchants and consumers to create a standalone payment ecosystem. Right now, Venmo is growing fast among individual consumers, but not as fast for merchant users. Even though it's growing, but it's still far from PayPal's to build up its own ecosystem. So when can Venmo unlock this door for PayPal is still an unknown. But with PayPal's 400 million global active user and fast growing Venmo, I don't think this is a dream.
I like that as well, but I can't help but wonder, what about Square's Cash App? Isn't that the same thing as Venmo?
They are definitely similar, and they each have their own advantages. Square has a lead in merchants coverage, and Venmo has a large global user count. It could seem that they are competing against each other, which is they are, but they are also helping each other out.
Oh, because instead of one app trying to expand this market, now there are 2 apps trying to expand this market together, just like WeChat Pay and Alipay, and Visa with MasterCard.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Payment market doesn't have to have one goat. I think 2 goats can coexist.
Also like Samsung and Apple. Alright, Back to PayPal, I hope now y'all are more clear on why PayPal got wrecked so hard these past few weeks.
And why it has a potential, and therefore we will be looking to get back in at some point in the future.
But there is something we think you should know should you choose to invest now. You're not buying the dip, because its valuation can no longer support its stock price, but rather you're buying its vision to build a disruptive payment ecosystem. If you believe in PayPal and their goal, and you don't care about short-term volatility, I definitely do. You can invest now, and that makes sense.
Exactly what I was going to add. We will be waiting for Venmo to show some progress, at least on the merchant side. Then we will evaluate where is a good entry for us.
Completely agree.
This short trading week ended with a bang because of the new COVID-19 strain overseas. But I don't think we need to worry too much because we are at a completely different position compared to last March. All major indices slightly pulled back more than 2% for the week. Oil dropped roughly 9.5%. According to the National Retail Federation, NRF, they are forecasting an 8.5% to 10.5% increase in holiday sales this year, compared with 2020. So overall spending, we will see a healthy increase even with the supply chain disruption. Or it could be that we are paying a premium price due to the inflations. So we hope that you have a great Black Friday shopping experience and had a nice time celebrating Thanksgiving with your family. Thank you for watching. If you find this video helpful, feel free to give us a like and subscribe for more content like this.